I am live today at the State of Qatar Embassy in Washington, D.C. Joining me now is His Excellency Sheikh Meshal bin Hamad Al-Thani, and he is the ambassador of the State of Qatar in Washington, D.C. His Excellency, thanks for being with us, sir.
Good morning, John. Thank you very much for hosting me, and thank you for choosing Qatar Embassy to broadcast today's show.
I know it's been very exciting to be here. I know it took us a while to get the details worked out, but the State of Qatar, you have such a great story to tell, and you just have so many interesting things that are going on. What I was hoping to do today, Mr. Ambassador, is if you could define your vision for the State of Qatar's long-term relationship with the United States. How would you define that?
Well, allow me, before we go into this, to say that the United States and Qatar has enjoyed a strong historical relation. This year, we're commemorating the 45th anniversary of this relation, and we are proud of this. As a matter of fact, we held the first strategic dialogue 2 weeks ago, and that shows how much this relation is important for both countries. We are looking forward to expand continuously the relation with the United States. We consider the United States is our number ally, and we always try to find ways to expand and promote this relation. So we are in the State of Qatar also looking into strengthening economic, political, militarily, but also cultural, because we believe that these aspects of the relation will bring both the peoples from Qatar and the U.S. closer.
And by doing that, you're going to be in a position to expand the relationship that we have, especially culturally. Tell us about our military involvement right now. A lot of people don't realize, Mr. Ambassador, that the biggest military base that we have in the Middle East is in your country. It used to be in Saudi Arabia, now it's in Qatar. Can you kind of walk us through that and how that works?
Of course, we are proud of this relation that we have with the United States military. It's important to just bring up that in 2003, when the Saudis asked the United States to leave, the troops to leave Saudi Arabia, Qatar immediately opened its territory to host the U.S. because we are proud of this relation, and we always considered the U.S. as a partner and an ally, and we wanted to support it in any way we can. Today, this base is the epic of fighting terrorism all around the globe. We have 11,000 U.S. soldiers based there.
11,000.
11,000 that work day and night with our army to make sure that the fight against terrorism is a continuous effort and that nothing disrupts it. We are also looking into ways always to upgrade this Al-Udeid base. It's very important to point out that Qatar share the burden. It was mentioned by the president that allies should share the burden, and we do share the burden with the U.S.
Right.
Qatar has completely invested in this base for the U.S. to be able to conduct its operations.
And Mr. Ambassador, how would you define your relationship right now with the Trump administration?
I think I can confidently say that this is an excellent relation, and the witness to this excellent relation is the strategic dialogue that was held. Also, the President met with His Highness last year. We had an excellent meeting. The President is keen on developing the U.S.-Qatar relation in every aspect. So we are really happy and proud of this relation.
We are with His Excellency Sheikh Meshal bin Hamad Al-Thani. He is the ambassador of the State of Qatar in Washington, D.C., and we are live today at the Qatar Embassy in Washington, D.C. to the United States. So again, Mr. Ambassador, I want to talk a little bit about the strategic meeting that you had last week. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was there, Defense Secretary Mattis, many other people, so you got your delegations together. What about that meeting really struck you, something that came out of it that you were really pleased with?
Well, I would like also to point out that we need to take in context the regional developments and the timing of this strategic dialogue. I think I can tell you the impression I came out with from the strategic dialogue that the U.S. Greatly values this relation with my country, and that it values the security of the state of Qatar and the commitment to that. So this is something that not only me, but all the Qatari delegation valued, listening to the messages that we received.
And so you thought that strategic dialogue advanced the relationship of cooperation that our two countries have?
Definitely. It will greater help improve the relation in the economic aspect and the political aspect, but also militarily and also culturally. So we are really looking forward to start working on the follow-ups of this important dialogue that we have, and looking forward to convene the next one.
Mr. Ambassador, I want to talk a little bit about the education cooperation that we have in your country and the number of universities that are there that no one really seems to talk about in the United States. Can you elaborate on that?
It's true. I agree with you. Not many people do realize that we have actually two bases in Qatar for the United States. One that I can refer to as the cultural base, and the other one is Al-Udeid base. The cultural base, in my view, is extremely important because it is promoting American culture, American values, American education, and the state of Qatar has always saw that education is a key for societies to develop. It is a key for countering extremism. Therefore, the vision 20 years ago that the state of Qatar wanted to invite U.S. universities, and by the way, the state of Qatar could invite any other university from any other country, but we chose the U.S. because we wanted to promote U.S. culture, U.S. education, and U.S. values.
Right.
We do have around 6 important campuses. We have Georgetown, we have Cornell, while Cornell, we have Texas A&M, Carnegie Mellon, Virginia Commonwealth, Northwestern. All these universities, all these campuses are giving excellent education, not only to the Qataris, but to the whole youth in the region. And this is what I really can tell you I'm proud of, to have this relation with the United States.
Well, 6 major university campuses in Qatar, and you're offering it to, like you say, not only your own citizens, but anybody in the region, with the idea that educational development that helps everybody, helps the region prosper and takes you out of some of the issues that you've had. And that's really a message that we have to get out, because I bet if I asked 100,000 of my listeners if there were any U.S. universities in Qatar, they would probably say no, and there's 6. So that's one of the things that really people have to understand. I also wanted to ask you about the issues you're having with the Saudis and the embargo and this continuing nature of your relationship with them that seems to be souring the entire region. What is the root cause of it, and why does it seem to continue on?
Well, before I go into the root causes, I would like to point out that the whole crisis started because of fake news, because of a cyber attack initiated from the blockading countries. And today, if I want to define who are the blockading countries, I would tell you Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt. So the whole crisis that erupted on the 5th of June was based on a cyber attack that was initiated from these countries on our Qatar news agency, and they posted a fake news, and they treated this fake news as an authentic news, and they based their aggression on that. So basically, there are no real grievances that were submitted. There were no issues. This is a manufactured crisis, and they are trying to push narrative and make a wedge between the U.S. and Qatar. Now, it's also important to point out that those same 4 countries in 1996 also tried to initiate a coup against our government. Mm-hmm. So there is this history from these four countries to always attack Qatar. And if you would ask me why are they doing that, I would tell you, well, they want to attack the independence of Qatar. The fact that you have 6 universities in Qatar, that's some promoting American culture, promoting American education. Mm-hmm. The Saudis don't like that. Mm-hmm. The fact that the U.S. troops are in Qatar, the Saudis don't like that. Mm-hmm. So they want us to become under their decision-making process. They want to dominate the whole dominate the whole Gulf region, but also dominate our independence. So this is something that I can assure you we will never allow, and we continue to ask the blockading countries, Saudi Arabia and UAE specifically, to come to the table to understand what are you concerned about. We are trying to engage with State of Kuwait. His Highness the Emir of Kuwait has been conducting shuttle diplomacy and trying to find solutions to bring the parties to her. Unfortunately, the blockading countries are not being responsive. We are trying to also, we appreciate the role that the United States is playing in this, in supporting the State of Kuwait in finding a solution. So we always said we are committed to resolve this matter. We always said we are willing to come at any time, anywhere, around the table to discuss.
So, Mr. Ambassador, what you're saying is the genesis of this embargo and the actions by the Saudis and by UAE was a matter of fake news, right? It never happened. Somebody posted it. And now you've got the situation where the Saudis are trying to dominate your relationship with the United States, much like they did with Lebanon, right? When they basically exiled their prime minister 2 weeks after he visited the president in the White House. And by the way, you know, the lack of news coverage that got in the United States by the what I call the legacy or mainstream media was kind of shocking, because the Saudis basically took a leader that was just at the White House and put him in exile as if they were ruling state of the country of Lebanon. Now he's back, so you see the same thing going on. So the Saudis seem to be the big bully in the area. That's my words, not yours. Big bully in the area. So how do you get the relationship with them where you can get rid of the embargo and kind of stop the nonsense with them? I mean, how does that happen?
Well, I think,
if I'm asking a fair question,
I think what we really need to focus on today is de-escalating the crisis. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, UAE, Saudi Arabia continue to escalate. What we need confidence measure building. They need to de-escalate their provocation in the media. They need to de-escalate their provocation, their political provocation, and their military provocation. So, therefore, and then we can come to the table based on set of principles that all countries abide to, mm-hmm. And discuss how we can move forward. We also need to make sure that Qatar also has concerns from those countries.
Right.
We cannot every 4 or 10 or 15 years have the same scenario.
Right.
These governments have to understand that Qatar is a sovereign country, part of the United Nations, and that it has the right to determine its future. Mm-hmm. This is something that they need to respect, and that aggression is destabilizing our region. What they have managed to do, John, is distract everyone else from the real issues, from fighting terrorism, from countering the destructive role of Iran in our region. All their policies, the Saudis and the UAE policies in the region, has been counterproductive and only empowering Iran. You've referred to Lebanon. The recent action consequences empowered Iran in Lebanon. So they also need to revise their impulsive policies in the region. The question is, do we want to work towards stabilizing our region, or do we want to work to destabilize our region? This is the question that they have to answer.
And so far they've not done that, especially as it relates to, as you say, emboldening Iran. And how is that in their best interest?
Well, it isn't. And we've been hearing calls from them that we want to counter this influence. But their actions are exactly the opposite. I think it is in their best interest to resolve the Gulf crisis. I think it is, and the United States agrees on this, that the unity of the GCC is extremely important for stability of the region. And unfortunately, they continue to do the opposite.
Exactly. I've only got a couple more minutes, so I appreciate your time. We're with His Excellency Sheikh Meshal bin Hamad Al-Thani. He is the ambassador of the state of Qatar. We're in Washington, D.C. at the Qatar embassy. I want to talk a little bit about two more things, and then I know you have to go. Our economic ties between our two countries, a lot of that tied to energy. What would you say the state of that is now, and how do you see that progressing?
We have a program to expand our economic cooperation. Our sovereign fund is investing here in the U.S. because we believe this is a strong economy, it's a strong market, and it's a win-win for both of us. We are investing around 45 billion US dollars in infrastructure and in different projects. This is a commitment that we are working on. But not only that, we are also purchasing American goods. We are purchasing aircrafts, civil aircrafts and military aircrafts. Qatar Airways has made a purchase for 100 airplanes for the worth of 80 billion US dollars, and also the F-15s, 24 F-15s. So we are really committed to the US because we believe of the products that you manufacture here. Excellent. And we also are trying to support your economy by creating jobs as well. Right. So this is a win-win situation.
No question. Final question, the World Cup coming to the state of Qatar. Tell us a little bit about that and what your preparations have been.
Well, you know, we are really excited to host the World Cup in Qatar. His Highness the Emir, in the inauguration of the stadium, first stadium that happened last year, which that reflects that Qatar is on the right track from the time frame, said that this is a tournament for the region. I believe, and we believe in Qatar, that sports brings people together. And if you look at our region today, it's going through a lot of problems. And having this tournament in Qatar, I think would represent hope for the future. We are bringing everyone from around the world to come and see this region, that this region wants to be part of the international and global community, that this region wants to be active and wants to, has a lot to offer.
Yes, sir.
So this is something we're really excited about, and we look forward to host it. We are looking forward to have an excellent tournament, and we are welcoming all the Americans who would like to come to Qatar to watch it.
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and the Americans are going to have, we understand, a very, very good soccer team come then. So we'll see how it plays out. We're out of time. I want to thank His Excellency Sheikh Meshal bin Hamad Al-Thani for being with us. He is the ambassador to the United States of the state of Qatar, and we're at the Qatar embassy in Washington, DC. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, John, and thank you for your listeners. I hope that I was able to give some insight on the U.S.-Qatar relation.
Tremendous insight, and thank you very much.